Aloha, friends and family. Would you look at this beauty that opened up this morning? What a glorious portion of creation. But let's get into the creation story and figure out how we got bamboozled and see if we can't get our shite straight. Let's discuss it. So, Source is eternal, never began, never ended. Source's expression of self is the manifestation of the entire universe and everything within it. So the whole mind F of evolution and life forms started out as amoebas, and they made their way over billions of years to becoming man is utter bullshit. Sounds good to wayward scientists in the external realm trying to explain the inner workings of God, but they fail just as miserably as the religions do. And then the religionists wanting to not lose their idol thought, well, we got to come up with a creation story that explains how God did all of this stuff. And so on day one, he did this, and day two, he did that, and day three, he did that, and blah, blah, blah. No. God's expression of self is the universe and everything in it. Are you in the universe? Are plants in the universe? Are amoebas in the universe? Are deers in the universe? Are atoms in the universe? Is light in the universe? Are stars in the universe? Are galaxies in the universe? Are gases in the universe? Are solids in the universe? Every single thing in the universe is the self-expression of God. Never began, will never end. So everything in that universe manifested complete, whole, finished, solid, whatever word we want to use. In other words, what we're trying to understand here is that there was nothing missing. When God manifested the fullness of himself, the universe, and all that is in it, there was nothing missing. There was no discord. There was no disharmony. There was no devil. There was no opposition. There was no villain dressed in all black with a cape flying around the outskirts going, man, when I get in there, nothing, none of it. Okay, so the creation story is, once again, it's contrived by the egoic man trying to explain from the external realm the internal workings of God. Well, you can't explain what's in God's mind from being in the external. from being separated, from being in an egoic state. You haven't even identified God yet. But they're attempting to identify God. And again, the only identity they're ever going to come up with is something external from them, something that is separate from them. It certainly can't be them. And in this particular version of world, it sounds and seems ludicrous to say that man is God, because man seems to be so frickin' messed up. But they don't finish the thought. Why are you so messed up? Could it be because you have separated yourself from God? And in your separation, you're looking all through the universe trying to find God, not realizing that every single thing that you see is a manifestation of the inner working of that God that always was and always shall be. So like I said yesterday, we got to take that rod of iron as God in the inner self and start smashing everything that's bullshit. Everything that is not in accord with I am. And so today we're smashing the creation story. Oh, religious people aren't going to like that. That's part of their idolatry. That's part of the ego's religion. That's a foundational element of the ego's religious belief system that will keep him eternally separated from God if he doesn't smash it. Because again, if you had a beginning, then you have an end. And that creation story brings into being that false psychology. God scraped your ass up from some mud on the ground and then blew into the mud and you became a man. So there you began. And then you immediately fell. You immediately screwed up. Again, this is part of the story. This is not reality. And the woman screwed up first and caused the man to screw up. And then a talking snake got in there and just really confused everything. And so they, of course, could create a devil because there's the other external factor that supports this psychology of insanity, because it's driven men insane. Because look at the world now, it's pretty insane. Well, it's all being driven by this psychology or ones like it. And thanks, YouTube. I appreciate you removing half my likes. That lets me know I'm doing a damn good job, because you people are worried about some guy sitting in his garden talking off the top of his head. You guys are as jumpy as a squirrel on a hot tin roof. To think that you got to try to suppress someone sitting in their garden speaking off the top of their head. But you go ahead and do your little game, because your end is in sight. Because the ego is not going to continue to control the spirit. The ego is not going to continue to dominate and suppress God. But again, until we enter in and embody self-realization and come into oneness with I am, then they got your ass. Because you remain powerless. You remain outside of alignment with what is. And you're living, again, in an illusion. And in that illusion, they can control you. Or they can suppress you. Or they can try to silence your voice. Or all the manipulative, stupid-ass shit that we see this going on everywhere now. They even put a disclaimer on yesterday's video talking about how the New World Order is a conspiracy. The next thing they're going to put up is a disclaimer saying anybody that debunks the creation story is a conspiracy theorist. And that will appease all the egos in religion. Because again, that's part of their idolatry. That's part of what keeps them in separation. That's what keeps them in disunity. That's what keeps them in dim light or shadow. So when God fractalized and became all men, for a long time, Earth was in harmony, Earth was in unity. And over the course of thousands and possibly millions of years, men in their freedom realizing, wow, I am free to do and think whatever I want. I could even separate from God if I wanted to. I could pretend that me, the individual, is the only one God. See, I'm the only God now. And so I'm going to make my own kingdom, get my own power, and then I could lord that over other people. And then we got kings and rulers and leaders. See, God doesn't need a king or a ruler or a leader because he is that. And if he stays in the oneness, he's not going to lord that over nobody. But he gave all these individuations of himself free will. And in that free will, some of them deviated, not many. I don't believe many deviated, but the ones that did started coming up with these lies, these deceptions, these stories, this mythology. And then again, when we have this belief that's instilled into us of death, we start manifesting it. And so men started dying. And upon their return here, they had forgotten everything that they formerly knew. All right? Try that for about 100 lifetimes and then see how much of what you knew before remains. Or we could say, see how far you've distanced yourself from the knowing. And they realized, I'm missing something. I don't know what I used to know. I don't feel like I know what I used to know. I feel like I'm missing something. What is it? Probably your connection to God. Probably your connection to Source. Yeah, that's what it is. I better start trying to figure out who and where God is. And then these people that deviated that I already told you about said, well, here, check this book out. It's got the whole creation story right here for you. You can find out exactly where you began. And they don't remember that, well, wait a minute, I couldn't have began like that, because if I began, I'm going to end. Well, don't worry about that, because when you end, you go to heaven. You go back to God. You go through the pearly gates, and then everything's wonderful. So don't worry about that. Just worship our God. Follow our idol. Worship our idol. Take on this belief system. And then you can feel good in your separation. You can feel like you got it figured out. But again, you didn't figure out much, because none of it came from within you. You didn't discover any of it from within you. You're just taking cues from other egos that are outside of the oneness. And so then just repeat this shit, meaning these reincarnations and this coming back here not remembering anything, and having all these people around you that act and think like they got it all figured out. And don't worry, just trust us. Here, read our book, study our book, meditate on our book, and drive this deep within yourself. And all that crap will keep you from remembering the real, will keep you from remembering who you really are. And then those kings and rulers and controllers can continue to rule over you and control you. Lifetime after lifetime after disgusting lifetime. Because you're living in an illusion, and the illusion is disgusting. And since the majority of the world has fallen into that state of living in that illusion, the world itself appears disgusting. But I remind you, friends, heaven is on earth, and we manifest it, and we always have manifested it from the very beginning. None of the ways of Source has ever changed, ever will change. But you can make it appear that it's changed by living in the illusions. And with all the geoengineering they got going on, with all the manipulation they got going on, that's why we got to completely tune out, excuse me, of that matrix. You got to jack the heck out of that thing, man. Because it's just reinforcing all the falsities. They got 500 different ways they will talk you out of being God. They will talk you out of being one with God. They will talk you out of I am and get you thinking, well, I was, or I could be, or I might be someday, or I would like to be. Anything other than I am. Because all your power floods into your system when you stand rock solid in I am. And then you become just like Jesus. Not just like Jesus, you know what I'm saying. You become like Jesus. You become like Buddha. You become like any of the illumined and enlightened, what the world calls saints. They're not saints, they're God. They know themselves. They know they have the power. They start remembering all the shit they forgot and were conned into believing. Because all of it was meant to just keep you in separation. That's it. Keep you from self-identification. Keep you from self-realization. Keep you from the experience Jesus had when he was 40 days in that desert. Earnestly seeking. And basically saying, look, I'm not even going to eat, man. I'm willing to die. I'm willing to let this flesh just rot away if that's what it takes. But I must know the truth. I must know who I am. I must know who God is. And that works. That will work. You will be reinstated. You will be activated. And heaven will begin manifesting in your life. And you're not going to worry about, what they might say or who might not be your friend anymore. They may not like me. My own family may not even want to talk to me. Listen, man, if your own family doesn't want to talk to you because you've had a revelation from God that revealed the most ultimate truth that could be revealed to a man, they don't want to talk to you because of that. They probably didn't want to talk to you anyway. They just wanted to get you to believe what they believed, get you to do their will, get you to join them in their misery. Because most separated human, well, not most, all separated humans are miserable because they've been stripped of everything they had. They don't know that consciously. They feel that subconsciously, but they don't know it consciously. And then if somebody tells them, you know the story. You're messing with our idol. You're throwing mud on our idol. We're comfortable in hell. Don't shake the boat. Don't rock our boat. But I'm telling you what, man, God came to shake and rock more than just your boat. This whole world's about to get shook. Not because God is angry. Not because God's got a bone to pick. Not because God has some fake ass phony adversary dressed in black flying around. they all believe in that too, boy. They believe just as strongly in Satan as they do their idol. That's just another face of their idol. See, if you go up to that idol that's smiling and looking all pious that they're bowing down to, and you grab its head and you spin its head around so that the back of it's facing you, oh, all of a sudden you're seeing the face of Satan right there attached to the very same idol that they're saying is God. And the Pharisee within them wells up, boy, and they're ready to crucify something. They're ready to lose their minds and act nutty. And that's the exact response the ones in idolatry had to Jesus. Now, regular folk, people that had not been, super indoctrinated, they were willing to listen. They were willing to at least hear him. This crazy guy, we've heard about it. Let's go out and let's go check him out. Let's go see what he's saying. He's making a lot of sense. Wow, I'm feeling something actually with what he's saying. I'm feeling something within me welling up. And after a few days or months or weeks, I'm feeling like this sucker might be right about this. And the next thing you know, he got disciples. They're like, man, we are totally on board, brother. We want to be on the team. We getting it. We getting it. We understand it. And the whole time he's telling them, look, man, this is not me. Don't make me God, your God. Don't make me your idol. You have this. You all have this. And if you don't have it, you can find it if you look in the right place. And it's not in books. It doesn't proceed from other men's mouths that are in separation from God. Like how could a separated from God man ever tell you how to become one with God if they aren't even one with God? If they're in separation, if they have believed the lie that I'm just a mortal man that God created, and I'm going to die, and I'm going to go to heaven, and you only live here one time. And they're just going to keep you spinning like you're in a freaking laundromat. Like you're laying in an industrial dryer, spinning around, and overheated and sweating. And like, God, this can't be the way. This can't be right. But yet they just insist that it is. And they say, hey, everybody that's been spiritually enlightened and knows God believes in the creation story. You women don't realize you were made from the rib of a man? Since when did God ever make women from a freaking rib of a man? Because don't they then turn around and say, God never changes. God is the same today, tomorrow, and forever. Yeah, that part's true, but then they want to attach something like that to it. Or you have the foresight to say, well, if that's true, then all women must come from the rib of a man. This shit don't make no sense. If you have an illuminated mind, like Jesus got in the desert, where he could come back and throw their own shit back at them and make them look like the phonies that they are. Make them look like the hypocrites that they are. Make them look like the egoic, separated humans that they are. Not to be mean, to show them themselves. That's all Jesus did. Look at yourselves. I'll be the mirror. How about that? I'll be the mirror, and all you got to do is look at yourself. Oh, God, no, don't do that. Don't do that. We don't want to see ourselves. We don't want to see what we've become. We are comfortable in hell. And so what do you do, man, with people like that? What can you do? You can do nothing. And they will continue living and dying, living and dying, living and dying. And every damn time they come back here, they know less than they did before. Because the longer you stay in separation, the longer you stay out of oneness, the more times that you reincarnate, you're losing your potency every time. Every time. So that it's going to take some serious miracle, man. It's going to take some serious revelation from on high to reach them people, to get through to those people. And then they get further and further and further from the garden until they finally live in a desert. And don't we have some really religious people living in a desert, and they're all too quick to fight and kill each other on a daily damn basis? But what I'm saying can't be right, right? What I'm saying just it's not in the Bible. Not in the Bible. But you can look with your own eyes and perceive with your own mind exactly what I'm saying. They're way outside of the garden. And these people are actually, not metaphorically speaking now, literally. Don't we have the most religious people on the face of this earth living in an actual literal desert? And don't they kill each other every day in the name of God? In the name of Allah, in the name of Jehovah. It's a religious war. It's a religious slaughter. It's very similar to that sacrificial bullshit that was going on in the temple. Murdering and bloodletting in the name of their wonderful God that they demand you believe in, because that God is separate from you. And it is an illusion, and will leave you powerless. And you will end up living in a damn desert, in your ego, ready to kill for God. And Jesus has returned. Jesus is back to clear the shit up. But it's not Jesus, actually. It's the Christ. Okay? And the Christ is not a singular man. Christ consciousness is not the brain of one man. It's the mind of God. And every one of us have the mind of God. And we are either in reality or illusion. And that mind creates everything. Creates everything in your life. And it has been creating the effects of separation. The results of separation, which are, and we've gone over it exhaustively, disempowerment and an illusion of a cycle of birth and death, birth and death, birth and death, birth and death. Each time forgetting more of what you used to know, which is further separating you, driving you deep into that desert, far from the Garden of Eden. But Christ has returned and invited everybody back to the garden. And I think people are ready, man. I think people are ready to come back to the garden. Come back to the beauty. Come back to the harmony. Come back to all the fruits and the wonder and the beauty and the majesty that is in the garden. Come, let us split a melon and share the sweet nectar. And there's two words that open those pearly gates. Two words that open those pearly gates. And they're not, please, God. They're, I am. Until you embody I am, until you have no doubt that I am, you're wandering deep off into the desert. And once again, my friends and family, we leave you in the love and the light of the infinite Creator.